Gentlemen, she's been gone for 2 days. But now, as we enter Thursday and begin DTNS, DTNS Productions is very proud to welcome back to the show a woman who is taking a lot longer to close the door than I expected when I started this bit. And so now I'm left filling time as I wait for Justin Robert Young, Sarah Lane.
What door? Oh, you meant the windows.
Yeah.
Was it a window? Never mind.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry
Sarah,
about that.
we're back. We're live.
Yay! Hello. I missed everyone. I hate being away from the show. It's like part of my life now.
Yeah.
It's like not brushing my teeth. If I don't do
It's
it.
like a room in your place.
It is. Quite honestly.
It's like her tech news senses get all fuzzy, like your teeth if you don't brush them.
Oh God, I hate the fuzz mouth. Ugh, the worst. Okay, we got Echo, we got and Visage.
Oh yeah, this is Pack Show.
Yeah.
Oh, and we developed buttons while you were gone.
I see them.
Yeah, that's BioCow. BioCow did that because Roger said, "Gosh, I wish I just had a button that I could push to change things to orange and red."
These buttons are clickable. Oh, that's so cool.
I know. So BioCow went and did a little scripty script.
Oh, that's so cool. See, this is why you need people who know how spreadsheets work.
I know. It's very clever.
Me, I'm like, I can add some cells.
I can sum to.
I can sum.
Oh crap, we don't have time. Somebody set up a ticker for me for the politics podcast that I can enter whatever I want in, and it goes.
Oh, that would be good.
Real quick, I'm just gonna assign myself the first message. Oh well, hold on a second.
I mean,
I see.
The message pertains to our
them.
main topic, so I moved it up.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, we'll either I'll do that. Here's what we'll do. I'll read line 30 to set up the topic, right?
Okay. Yep.
Then I'll kick it to you.
Yeah.
And you can start the discussion, and whether you want to start it with the email or work it in whatever.
Sure.
Does that work?
No, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because before when I read it, I was like, what's he talking about? Okay, so we're going to like wrap up the discussion, but sort of kick it back to it. So, no, this makes more sense.
Yeah, it's just part of the discussion. And then if we get to Sean Parker, we get to Sean Parker. If not, we can skip him. But I have a feeling we'll get to it.
It was kind of just, it's almost like a tongue-in-cheek, like, look who's upset about Facebook now.
It's like a kicker, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Go. Take it away, Big Jim.
The Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by its global listener base, not outside organizations. To find out how you can contribute, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, November 9th, 2017. From DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm back after a couple days away, and I missed everyone. I'm Sarah Lane.
And from Oakland, California, it's me, Justin Robert Young.
Also with us is our producer, Roger Chang. Roger, what's the word?
I have never left.
He's been here for days.
Roger's I've literally been here the entire time you guys have been here.
Yeah, like right here.
I just sit here.
Even when I left, he was just,
right there. In your heart the whole time.
We are going to talk about revenge porn because there have been new developments since we talked about it with Scott Johnson yesterday. And we've got a few more thoughts, got an email. But let's start with a few tech things you should know. Following up on another story from yesterday, Logitech Harmony doing a little damage control after announcing the Harmony Link sunset. The company now says that while the Link will still go away next spring, all previous owners will now receive a free upgrade to the new Harmony Hub. Previously, Logitech had only offered the Harmony Hub upgrade to customers who had their Link still under warranty.
I think that's the right thing to do.
It's better.
Some expansion news. Amazon's Echo speakers now available in Japan, along with a Japanese version of Amazon Voice Services, including Skills, which is Amazon's Japanese market entry, following the launches. Oh, I'm sorry. Along with Amazon Voice Services, including Skills. Period. Amazon's Japanese market entry follows the launches of Lines, Cloves Waves, and Google's Home in the country. So pretty much everybody's expanding into Japan.
Canalys estimates Apple's iPhone 7 outsold the iPhone 8 in Q3, though the 8 launched at the end of the quarter. Canalys also went on to say that Apple shipped 13 million iPhone 7s and 11.9 million iPhone 8s. A year ago, Apple shipped 14 million iPhone 7.
And Niantic, maker of the Pokemon Go app, is now working on an AR-based Harry Potter-themed follow-up. Harry Potter Go or something? I don't know. Pokemon Go reportedly had about 45 million daily players at its peak and generated more than $1.2 billion in sales. So why not go after another incredibly popular
Seems like a really good, I mean, Pokemon was not a real thing of mine, but Pokemon Go, I was obsessed with for several months. So Harry Potter actually being a franchise that I know and love.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Imagine how big it will be if it actually works.
Aloha Mora. That your money. That's what they want. All right, let's get to some more top stories, Sarah.
All right, Apple confirmed to TechCrunch it has acquired Invisage. This was rumored previously. It's a nanotech startup focusing on image sensors. So obviously Apple would be interested in image sensors for its phones and phones of the future. Invisage owns 27 patents, which presumably Apple probably wanted as well. The company's key product is called Quantum Film, which focuses on taking high-quality pictures in non-optimal lighting conditions. So low light or blurry or action shot, that sort of thing.
Now, first of all, I am a heathen who would say envisage. I like your more sophisticated pronunciation, though. I think that's probably better.
It's Patrick Beja rubbing up on me.
Yeah, envisage
these days. Yeah.
But no, this is pretty much right in line with the reports from Mark Gurman that they're doing AR, and this is a good company for them to grab, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know that there is much else to say except
I think what we're going to see now is with the new iOS exactly what the market for developers is around AR and whether or not Apple can create hardware that can really put it front and center into people's lives. We are now going to get the first taste of exactly how much people want to use it if it means lifting their phone up for it.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that, hey, you can see how these sensors would fit into a headset in all kinds of ways. Don't forget, Apple has bought loads of companies over the years. They bought the company that made Siri. That panned out. They've bought other companies that haven't yet appeared in a product, particularly a lot of car-related startups. They may yet still show up, but just because they buy a company doesn't guarantee that you're going to see a product. All right, AT&T said Wednesday that the timing of its deal to acquire Time Warner, which was begun a year ago now, October 2016, is now uncertain. They have until April 22nd, so they still have some time to finish the deal. But after they said that on Wednesday, the Financial Times and New York Times reported sources saying the U.S. Department of Justice planned to block the acquisition if the combined entity did not either spin out Turner Broadcasting, owners of CNN, which got a bunch of people talking, or the DirecTV satellite service. One or the other had to go. So then Thursday, at the DealBook conference in New York, AT&T CEO Randall Stephenson said, quote, "I have never been told that the price of getting the deal done is selling CNN, period." And he said he has never offered to sell it. He avoided commenting on the idea of having to sell DirecTV, though, which I thought was interesting. Stephenson did also say, quote, "It's time to settle or it's time to go to court," implying that if the Department of Justice and AT&T can't work out an agreement, he'll sue them. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice told Reuters that it worries the deal would raise costs for entertainment distributors and stifle innovation. However, Makan Delrahim, head of the antitrust division of the U.S. Department of Justice, said he has, quote, "never been instructed by the White House on the AT&T deal. So there's a lot of theories floating around about who wants who to do what. But Randall Stevenson was out working hard today at that conference, that New York Times Dealbook conference, to say, nobody told me to do that. I'm not gonna do it. And if we can't work something out, we'll see you in court.
Well, and this is such a hot button issue for a lot of people because it, if you want to make it seem like, ooh, CNN is problematic now, fake news, that sort of thing, it could be read a certain way. At the same time, Stevenson's quote, if you want to kind of parse it, is like, I've never been told that the price of getting the deal done is selling CNN, period. It's like, well, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a discussion topic at some point.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think what is optimal here is to recognize that this is a very, very complicated process involving a lot of moving parts, that the Department of Justice, specifically in a new White House where these deals are only going to come more quickly just by the nature of where all these media companies and telecoms are, need to set certain parameters. I think this is a lot of noise coming out of back rooms that we are only getting a fraction of it on. People are fighting in the press based on negotiations that they are having behind closed doors. And it will not shock me if this all winds up coming out in the wash soon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are scrambling to make a good headline these days. I think probably if I had to read the tea leaves, my best guess is when they met with the Department of Justice on Monday, the Department of Justice probably expressed some rather reasonable concerns about concentration of ownership, and said, look, let's just imagine. I'm not going to say this is what happened. Let's just imagine they said, look, you could sell Turner Broadcasting, right? But we know you probably don't want to do that. So would you consider spinning out your satellite distribution? We need to reduce your footprint here somehow. And Randall Stevenson said, definitely not going to sell Turner Broadcasting. Let me think about the DirecTV thing. That would fit everything that's being said here and seem like a kind of very uncontroversial negotiation that would happen when someone's looking over a merger of this size.
Well, and I could see that the idea that DirecTV might be kind of going beyond its satellite offering anyway with the new set-top box, which we talked about recently, could be, somewhat problematic when you're talking, if the government is like, hey, you gotta get rid of this whole big chunk, but AT&T is like, well, but we're kind of transitioning that into something else. You don't necessarily want to get rid of something that's about to change and maybe be lucrative for AT&T.
Yeah, and if I'm Time Warner, I'm out there going hold on, Comcast, NBC Universal, please. They are a distributor and a cable company and a content company and a freaking movie studio, which we won't really be. So what are you talking about there?
Well, HBO is kind of a movie studio at this point, right?
Well, actually, I say that. I forget that Time Warner owns Warner Brothers, so yeah.
Yeah,
there's that. But they are so. But they're based. What my point is, Comcast, NBC, Universal is the same thing. If the U.S. Department of Justice allowed that to happen, why wouldn't they allow this to happen?
And specifically has MSNBC, which is a news organization.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, if CNN
I'll be honest. I don't believe in any way that CNN is a concern for either side here. I really don't. I think that's all made up in the press.
Fake news. Intel has hired Raja Chaudhry, former head of graphics at AMD, to lead a new unit building high-end discrete graphics cards. Oh, how scandalous. Discrete. AMD, which just partnered with Intel on a systems package including semi-custom AMD graphics, says it has, quote, industry-leading graphics IP and, if necessary, will vigorously defend it, end quote.
Huge story. Granted, if you're not into chips, you're like, great, just tell me when they make one and I'll tell me if it's any good to buy. But Intel getting into making standalone discrete graphics cards is a shot over NVIDIA's bow and a shot over AMD's bow. And don't forget, AMD and Intel just announced a system package where they had a discrete AMD graphics card on die. AMD is not happy about partnering up with Intel 2 days ago and saying, hey, we're providing this semi-custom chip just the way we do for the Xbox and the Sony PS4.
And now,
today,
having Intel taking employees from AMD, high-profile employees as well, is like, sheds a little bit more light on this whole partnership thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also kind of an implicit thing from Intel that they just don't have the know-how in-house, and they don't have anything competitive in-house, and they feel that they need to do this to play catch-up with
no, that's why yes, they don't have this. They have the Iris graphics cards. That's it. I mean, they're not pretending this is a brand new department that they're hiring Kujuri to run.
When Larrabee fizzled out, I mean, everyone thought that that Intel was going to go with they were just going to have a new push, but they didn't. And this is essentially just saying that they have been literally running around without their heads attached.
I don't know that that's fair.
No,
I think they decided that was not a division they needed to have going, and now Brian Krzanich has changed his mind. Well, not changed his mind. He's new since that decision about Larrabee was made.
That just says that they were out of step and they did not have a plan.
I don't know that it was out of step for them not to have graphics. It was a reasonable decision to say, you know what, we'll just let the companies that make that do that. And now they're realizing, hold on, AMD's weak, NVIDIA's got too much power, and they're moving into our market. Now it's time for us to get back into it.
Maybe. I still think that this is a move on we need to start moving because everyone is getting to the point where we will not be able to catch up in any reasonable time.
Lau Roman says, why can't this be a prelude to Intel buying Radeon from AMD, or maybe just buying AMD? I don't think the antitrust division would be very happy with that, though. Twitter announced it's pausing account verification after a wave of criticism that Twitter had verified the account of an organizer of a rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in August. Twitter adds a blue check mark, if you don't know this already, to indicate that an account is of public interest and is actually from the person it says it is. Now, Twitter says the check mark should not imply an endorsement, but a lot of people look at it that way, and Twitter has declined to grant verification and removed verification from controversial figures of public interest in the past. So it's a little bit of an inconsistent message. Twitter support posted, quote, verification was meant to authenticate identity and voice, but it is interpreted as an endorsement or an indicator of importance. We recognize that we have created this confusion and need to resolve it. And CEO Jack Dorsey went even farther, adding, we realized some time ago the system is broken and needs to be reconsidered, and we failed by not doing anything about it, working now to fix faster.
The whole verification thing it's a funny thing because I remember when I got verified because there was a discrepancy between me and some other Sarah Lanes on Twitter, so I was like, I'm that Sarah Lane. I got, it does make sense in a certain way where you're like, oh, we're trying to discern between either fake accounts or parody accounts or just general confusion over names.
Yeah.
Especially because Twitter handles can be all over the place. But it's true that it has become sort of if you're cool enough, you get a red or you get a blue check mark. Twitter never said that that's what it meant, but there is sort of if you're important enough, Twitter will pay attention to you and do this for you. Yeah. So it is a messaging problem with the company. I don't necessarily think that the company did anything wrong based on how they've treated accounts in the past, but it's a very problematic episode, at least, over the last day or so. So yeah, they have to figure out what does the blue check mark mean? If you're verified, does it mean that Twitter says you're verified as a public figure and therefore should be paid more attention to? Are you going to be put up at the top of, a timeline and carry more weight more than someone else based on algorithm? That's where it starts to get weird.
Well, and if you look at the evolution of who was getting verified, initially it was a confusion thing, and then more recently it became, the list of what you needed to be to get verified in what areas you needed to make your living in continued to grow more and more. And media was probably the biggest one, where all of a sudden anyone who worked at a newspaper or a website can now get their account verified. I think that Twitter let this get way out of hand without proper definition. It became too culturally important, and no matter how much they want to put that back in the barn, they can't. It is the cool kids club, whether or not they meant it to be.
Change the logo, make it black box so anybody can get it. Verify Julian Assange tomorrow. This goes away.
Well, I have some good news. On an entirely different note, everyone, Apple has released iOS 11.1.1, which, among other bug fixes, fixes that whole I being autocorrected to a bug that's a question mark and then some sort of an emoji character. And you've probably seen this on the internet because it was spreading like wildfire. I certainly had the virus, and I was complaining about it last week. Apple previously asked customers to create a text replacement workaround for the I autocorrect bug as a temporary fix, which I found insulting. Like, I'm not going to do that. No, you fix the software. Like, that's silly. So anyway, they have, and this will all be just a distant memory in our long national nightmare soon enough.
This is definitely one of those that I was very just excited for you. I feel like you still have more in the tank. Like, you were very angry about this. You had very pointed language in the doc this morning about you felt about Apple's response for the workaround.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, sure, it's a bug. It's not, it didn't appear to be malicious in any way, but it started kind of small. And then it started to get more widespread. I was seeing it all over the place, and people were like, what's going on? What's happening? It just, for Apple to be like, oh no, you just like do like one of those text replacement things where when you mean to say the letter I, then you just, just kind of fix it on the back end. It's like, no, dude, I'm not doing that.
They were just saying do that while they got that update ready.
I know, but even so, it's like, no, I'm just going to text nonsensical things to people until you fix this software update.
Hey folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines at dailytechheadlines.com. Also available on the Amazon Echo, the Google Home, through the Anchor app, which means it's also on the Anchor app. And that's a look at our top stories. Now, we mentioned yesterday Facebook testing in Australia and 3 other countries a way to block possible revenge porn pictures from being used against you. BBC reports now, though, something we didn't know yesterday, Facebook employees will view the photos submitted to the program. The photos will still not be stored, but an employee, a human being, will have to look at it to make the hash of it. Facebook is testing that system right now. Sarah, that kind of changes how I look at this.
In what way?
Well, because yesterday I said, look, it's kind of weird, but if you trust Facebook to just make a hash and not store it, then I guess it's okay. Now it's like, ooh, I mean, the calculation is still the same. If I trust you, I guess it's fine. But to know someone on the other end is going to see this naked picture of me that I want blocked, that changes things.
The nudity part of it is like, it's going to make everybody be like, oh gosh, that makes me uneasy, then it's a stranger at Facebook who we know that not every employee at every large company doesn't go rogue, right? That happens at times as well. But we got a good email from Chuck, who's in very cold Montana, he says, and he had an interesting, kind of a description of how he saw this. And he said, listen, the method that companies are using to combat this sort of thing, revenge porn aside, it's kind of like Time Magazine submitting a picture to Facebook or, some other social network and saying, we own the rights to this. So if you see it from, CBS or ABC or whoever, take it down because there's a copyright issue. So if you think of it in terms of someone saying, listen, there's a chance that this might get out there. Maybe I have a reason to believe that somebody has access to a photo that, is mine and is sensitive. I'm not sure what the right solution would be if not to have somebody over at Facebook saying, got it, recorded. Yes, Sarah Lane, we're not going to let somebody upload a picture that you've already indicated you're sort of worried about and you have the rights to. But I don't want anyone at Facebook looking at my naked photos either. So it's kind of like, would we want to, entrust this just some sort of algorithm machine? That doesn't work really well either at Facebook. So
I don't understand why they can't just say, okay, because and this may be lost on a few people. You have to go to a government agency in Australia first and say, hey, I'm concerned about this. This person has a picture of me that I don't want out, and I'm worried they might publish it on a social network. and the person at that agency in Australia will recommend in certain cases, like, you should take part in Facebook's program, and then you text the picture to yourself on Facebook Messenger, and the agency alerts Facebook about that, and then Facebook goes in, looks at the picture, and creates a hash. I don't understand why they have to look. Can't you just say, like, hey, make a hash of the picture that's coming from this person? I mean, Justin, you got an answer to that?
I do not know why it would need to be a person, but to me, there are two things to look at here. Sarah made a really, really good point about something as trivial as the I to question mark thing. And the idea that the messaging on it initially was, hey, look, you can do this workaround. That is technically a way that you can solve that problem. What it ignores is, I'm personally embarrassing myself when all my tweets look like crap and people are making fun of me for it. There is a gap between the engineering solution and the real world applications of how we deal with this kind of stuff. This is an engineering solution in the same way that now, as soon as we've now realized in this post-fappening world that the way to deal with revenge porn is to assert your copyright over these photos, now we look for copyright solutions for these problems. And if that is, like Chuck points out, well, this is the way it is. If you've got a famous photo that just got taken that you own the rights to, this is how you solve that problem. Yes. And these are reputations. These are lives. This is intimacy. This is something that deserves a level of solution beyond just what we would understand as my copyright.
Yeah,
and
I don't love using copyright for some other purpose. And I think in this case, it's actually a very ineffectual tool anyway, because copyright requires it to be published first, and then you send the takedown notice. That's not what people want here. People want to stop it from getting posted in the first place. Sure. And that's what the system attempts to do.
It does. But if you know, there was a great thread by Kumail Nanjiani, who plays one of the characters on Silicon Valley. They're shooting their new season now, and he was saying, hey, look, we go to a lot of these tech companies, and everybody's really excited to show us new features. And then some of them, which may or may not ever see the light of day, have like kind of horrifying privacy implications or these horrifying other implications. And we say, hey, has anybody thought about this horrifying implication to the product? And the engineer says, looks back at them dumbfounded, like nobody's ever asked. Now, who knows exactly, the veracity of that kind of anecdotal story. But I do think that it is a larger idea of how people feel that there is an emotional gap between the rest of society that has fallen in love with Silicon Valley's shiny new toys and Silicon Valley itself. And to me, this story, both in the way it's covered and in the way that it's being talked about, is emblematic of that there is a cold response that is, okay, please send us your nudes so we can prevent these from coming out. Whereas the problem is, oh my God, my privacy has been ruptured in the most emotionally damaging way possible.
I mean, at the same time, it's like, Facebook is ramping up, its employee numbers and all sorts of avenues to, try to make news better that people are seeing in their feeds. And, for the company to just be like, I don't know, we're not going to tackle the problem of revenge porn and or nudes that are posted, without the consent of the person that the nude is of or is involved with. That would be wrong too. So even though this gives me the queasies, it's like, I kind of feel bad for the Facebook employee who has to look at all this stuff, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, and the other side of it is, there was a suggestion yesterday that what if you make the hash locally? What if you do it yourself on the desktop and you submit the hash to Facebook? And the unfortunate side of that is there will be people take advantage of that to block photos that aren't revenge porn. Right? Unless someone sees the photo at some point, someone can take advantage of that system. And that's just a fact of life, is that people will use systems meant for one thing for something else. And I think Facebook and the government agencies are trying their best to figure that out. Now, that said, as someone who would be using this system, I would want there to be a lot of assurances that the person on the other end verifying my photo is really heavily vetted before I take advantage of this. And,
exactly.
and that's the problem.
And it's like, Facebook isn't going to be like, here's the employee profile of the person who has been tasked with all this revenge porn. Please look at their LinkedIn, and you'll see that they're upstanding citizen. Like, the company's not going to do that. So that's where it gets weird. It's like,
you need a third party. You need an abuse prevention organization that is widely trusted to step in and do this.
But you also don't just want a random contractor, right?
No.
Who's taking screenshots of their screen that they're looking at this on the Facebook campus.
No, the government agency should hand you off to a trusted, well-known, well-verified organization that is there to assist people in situations just like this, an anti-abuse organization who then creates the hash and hands it over to Facebook. Facebook shouldn't look at it.
I would be curious to hear maybe from our community who that organization would be. Like, who's the front runner of like the organization that Facebook should partner with on something like this?
Yeah, I mean, a national organization of women could be one in certain cases. I don't know.
I mean, it depends. I mean, a lot of times I almost think that this would be better as a new organization with people that have had experiences in this field before, just so it's not kind of drug into any kind of previous political
right.
And the National Organization of Women is very political,
so only applies to women, because that's not true either. So it's a complicated thing.
Certainly so.
Absolutely. But yes, I didn't mean to subvert your call, which is a good one. Let us know who you think would be trusted.
I'd be curious, because
me too.
I'm only familiar with so many of those.
Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit, submit stories and votes on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Thank Justin Robert Young for joining us as always. What you got going on these days?
Well, of course, everybody in Philadelphia, please come on out. November 18th, I'm doing a live politics episode at the Shot Tower Coffee in Philadelphia, 7 o'clock. That is so Saturday, November 18th. We're doing the oral history of Monica Lewinsky scandal. It is something that I'm very, very excited to talk about. It was a defining political scandal of my young life. It's what got me into politics. And I want to meet everybody that is out there. So come on out, 7 p.m., November 18th, Shot Tower Coffee.
Excellent.
I should also note I'm going to be on Night Attack next Tuesday with Justin and Brian.
Oh, we're gonna do problem solvers, a bit we have not done in far too long, and
it's been a while. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And we're gonna be on the front page of Twitch again. Last time we had the largest audience I think has ever watched us, and I would expect this week to be even bigger with the megawatt star power of Sarah Lane at our back.
Oh wow! I'll try to bring the noise.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us. We have 7 more patrons than we did last month, and we want to keep that momentum going. We always want at least one more than last month, but we can do better than that. So if you can support us, do. We've got all kinds of cool perks on there. I've got a weekly column that goes out to people at the $5 a month level, and we have a milestone. If we can get to the next level of our funding, we'll add a second roundtable show. If you liked last month's roundtable show, you'll get one more this month, but you could be getting more than one a month. That's patreon.com/DTNS.
We also always love your feedback, questions, comments. Obviously, we like to put your feedback into the show whenever it applies. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We are live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com.
Darren Kitchen is back from his travels. He'll be on the show tomorrow. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Hey, breaking news. Ryan Johnson, director of the forthcoming Last Jedi, is directing a brand new Star Wars trilogy that will take place with no characters seen in the original trilogy.
A trilogy?
Yep.
You know,
a triptych of trilogies.
There was the big question after he was like the only director not fired from all these other movies when Trevorrow was gone from 9, that he seemed to be the logical guy to take on that. J.J. Abrams came back, but this makes that a little bit clearer. If he's taking on, they're entrusting him on a whole new wing of Star Wars lore.
Okay, so partway in, I was like, oh, this makes sense. They liked him. They want him to do one of those standalone. And then you said trilogy, and I got really scared because I'm like, no, don't keep the trilogies. And then you said no current characters.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure what I ended up thinking. Now I'm just confused.
Well,
the writer director of The Last Jedi, Johnson conceived. This is from the Lucasfilm press release. Johnson conceived and realized a powerful film in which Lucas and Disney are immensely proud, shepherding the new trilogy, which is separate from the episodic Skywalker saga. Johnson will introduce new characters from a corner of the galaxy that Star Wars lore has never before explored.
I know I'm probably just being pessimistic, having worked in the industry, but it sort of seems like they just want actors that they don't have to pay a crazy amount of.
I'm sure that's a side benefit. You're not wrong.
But
people like Brian Brush would have been crying like, give me something new. It's not derivative of the previous movies. And that's what this sounds like.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also like, hey, listen, the original Star Wars fan base, although it spans decades, the higher end of it is a little long in the tooth and probably has more or less wrapped up their days of buying a lot of silly merchandise. So I can see, where this sort of reboot of new characters would make sense.
Where are you seeing this? It's on Lucasfilm?
Yeah. StarWars.com.
Star Wars. Because I want to parse this language very closely to see if there's room for Rey and Finn to be in these movies. I would, if I were Kathleen Kennedy, that's what I'd want to do is like ditch all the old characters and take Rey and Finn forward in a new story.
Separate. This is the exact word. In shepherding this new trilogy, which is separate from the episodic Skywalker saga.
Right.
So that's all you get.
There's a tiny crack there to say like, sure, Rey and Finn aren't part of the Skywalker saga anymore. They are their own saga.
Yeah, just do whatever you want, Ryan. If this movie is as good. The buzz on this movie is really, really good. So I'm glad he is staying in the fold, and he seems like someone they're not going to fire in 5 minutes.
Yeah. No porgs were available for comment. Is in the actual posting from Lucasfilm.
Well, I mean that whole idea kind of relieves them of having to follow like a pre-made structure of story and character arcs, and so they could literally clean sheet anything they want.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be a bad thing, mind you, but it could be an amazingly good thing too.
I think Brian Johnson is an insanely talented filmmaker, and I'm pumped.
I mean, I am definitely of the view that, especially with a lot of the stuff that is now, a lot of it is just way too derivative, especially Marvel, because Marvel is built on decades and decades of reusing the same character, and it's basically like the old Chinese menu. You select your story trope from column A, column B, column C, and then you mix in some additional characters, and you have a new storyline. And that they've been doing that. They've done it so much that they had to reboot the universe twice. I don't know. It's one of those things that's always kind of bugged me.
Wait, Marvel has?
Yeah, Marvel has. They've been doing it. They've been doing it since the 80s. They had the Secret Wars. They had the Spider Clone. They had House of M.
In comics.
Comics, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, not the film, sorry, in the story. So
yes,
the ability to take a franchise, and if they can do it successfully, I think would help a lot, because to be honest, a lot of these, not that the movies are bad, but they just kind of have a very similar feel to it.
I will say I saw Thor Ragnarok again. I love that movie. There are some lines that I keep repeating.
It's one of those movies.
So, oh my God, has everybody seen it?
No, I have not seen it.
Yeah,
but not everybody in the audience has seen it.
Not everybody in the audience. All right, so just I will dance around. This is a throwaway one-liner that has no impact on the story, but a character is appearing in projection. They're not really there, talking to another character, and then a supporting character just runs in as the projection disappears and kicks the wall and just says, "Piss off, ghost," and then just looks at the other character and says, "Oh, I think he's gone." For whatever reason, "Piss off, ghost" is just in my head. I just can't stop yelling "Piss off, ghost."
Okay, what about these other titles?
DTNS merch idea.
Piss off, ghost.
Can they trademark like phrases for movies? Probably.
Probably not.
Intel asks AMD to chip in. Logitech restores the Harmony.
Oh, I'm already exporting the show by now, and I picked check your mark privilege.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can change it.
No,
I'm just letting you know.
Oh no.
Don't want to accept the apple cart.
You got any other? But you can give some people some shout outs though.
There's a.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. Apparently, Anthony Carboni also already did a Star Wars minute about this news because they're the official Star Wars thing.
Which means Anthony Carboni knew about this a while ago.
Which means I'm pissed off because I was drinking with Carboni like a couple weeks ago and I was giving him very pointed questions about Ryan Johnson.
Did you tell him, piss off, ghost?
Piss off, ghost!
Intel has catch up on its chips. I like that one. Twitter, mistrust and verify. You're typing it wrong. Facebook revenge is a photo not seen. Pity the nude scanning Facebook employee. Yeah, that might be a not so pleasant job. Facebook wants nude book for porn block. We'll see CNN join the AT&T team. Roger's not left the building. Verify before you endorse. Ace Detect puts up a black mark on Twitter. Sarah, Apple, no, you're doing it wrong. Piss off, ghost. Merge on our terms. See, blue check bungle, TNO with your TNA. I'm that Sarah Lane is at the top.
What? But it's not that good.
What?
It's just not it. Like, yeah, the Apple autocorrect thing. As much as this is a crusade that is applied to my life, we didn't talk about it for very long.
I'm going with check your mark privilege then.
Done.
Roger tried valiantly.
Yes, you did.
Well, I mean, I was just reading off what people put. The audience, the viewers tried.
I didn't want to interrupt the Star Wars conversation because it was.
Well, you know what's interesting is it just occurred to me. It's kind of the reason why I like Star Trek Discovery so much is that it's maybe the same universe, but there's none of. I mean, except for Sarek, there really isn't any of the visible touch of any of the previous characters that you've seen in the Star Trek universe that that film, that show, and I like it that way.
You need a balance. I love seeing characters' stories continued and finding out more about a world. That's why sequels sell so well. But sometimes you're like, gosh, I would like to know something beyond that as well. And I think between Star Trek Discovery and Orville, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, even though Orville isn't in the same universe.
I really have to force myself to watch Orville. I don't know.
I think that part of what made Marvel as a movie franchise so successful is that they didn't care about ditching certain elements so they could just make a better adaptation and they could just make better movies. And that, to me, is what seems to have hampered my enjoyment specifically of Rogue One. And for a lot of people, it hampered their enjoyment of Episode 7, was this like adherence to these beats need to happen. People are here for blue milk, not for a gritty war movie that happens to take place in this universe. And that's something that I very much hope Rian Johnson is driving towards is the idea that, look, there is a mythology around Star Wars that doesn't necessarily have to do with the Skywalkers, about
or the war, which would be really fascinating if they could do one that didn't necessarily involve like part of the conflict, right? Whether it's, I mean, granted, that's part of the beef and potatoes of Star Wars, but I mean, it would be kind of neat to do like, hey, what if you did the Hutts and it's all about their crime syndicate, where it isn't like this like the rebellion and versus the Empire is there, but it doesn't fill the story.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think that it's just such a big, rich, compelling world, and it was such so much of the charm of the original trilogy was there's always there's new stuff around every corner, and whether or not it's it's the Hutts or the Ewoks or Cloud City, like there was just always this like, wow, it was a big, gigantic, super imaginative universe.
Well, that's what's so amazing about what Lucas did is he made the universe an actual character instead of just kind of a background character. It made it a character on par with the rest of the cast, and I think that's what makes it so compelling. Why the expanded universe lasted as long as it did after the original series and before the prequels came on the scene, because people were just so hungry. What else is happening in this universe, right? What else happens on Tatooine besides Luke Skywalker? Obviously there's commerce, obviously there's some sort of agriculture, crime syndicate, whatever. And it's just, it's so compelling. I mean, when Lucas shot a lot of the establishing shots, I mean, it took a page out of John Ford, right? Let me make this planet alive. It breathes on its own. It's its own thing. And I think that was kind of missing with Rogue One a little bit. It didn't feel the same. It just felt like it was a backdrop for this larger narrative instead of being threaded into the narrative in the same way.
And really, I don't know how much in hindsight I really love the idea of automatically calling it a trilogy. Like, I think that does put a lot of pressure on the movie, and it puts a lot of pressure on kind of Rian Johnson. And also, I just, in general, I hate movies that are like, oh, this is the first chapter 1 and a bunch of stuff doesn't happen. And then you're like, well, yeah, but you got to understand it's a 3-part story. It's like, no, that's not an excuse to make a boring part 1. Like, it was like kind of like Prometheus, where it's like, oh no, we're going to do this whole new Alien franchise. And it's like, well, can we just make one? And then I'll really like it and I'll want another one, please.
I think we should make a kitty franchise.
Didn't they do that with Cat's Eyes, the Stephen King anthology movie?
I thought that was... Oh, no, I'm thinking of Firestarter. Totally different. Yeah, I don't remember.
Cat's got one of the most successful musicals of all time. They're doing all right.
Well, that's true. But played by humans,
Right.
Right.
Species.
Real cultural appropriation going on there.
Human washed.
Human washed. Bipedal washing.
Lucy's like, what show is this?
Let me out of here. I don't like this rhetoric.
All right. Okay. All right. Go on.
Bye, Lucy.
Go on.
Bye.
In the sky with diamonds.
So here's the funny thing about me choosing the title and going with it. I was checking the feeds just now, and I went, oh, crap. Somebody already used Check Your Mark privilege. Then I realized it was the RSS feed for Daily Tech News Show that was showing up in my feed already.
That's awesome.
From when?
From just now.
Oh, from today.
Because I published it just now.
Like, crap.
Yeah. From 1 minute ago, basically.
Well, check your mark privilege. No, it's fine. That's fine.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. Here's the thing. Some people have different tastes than other people. And I think there were
No, that's not true.
people who liked the blue milk, and Kathleen Kennedy knows that. And she's like, and there were people who hated the blue milk, and I'm going to have Ryan Johnson make movies for them. I think that's what's going on.
I don't think it's people that hate the blue milk. I just think they weren't especially concerned with it.
I'm trying to use shortcuts, obviously, in my analysis, but it wasn't all about blue milk, I know.
I've always wondered, is it really blue, or I always thought it was just the cup that was blue.
Yeah, I think I thought that too in the early days.
And it's like, wow, they have Cuisinarts in the long time ago, but in the kind of
and bok choy.
Yeah. They have giant muskox.
Well, bok choy is probably an ancient vegetable.
Yeah, came from a galaxy far away.
Far away.
Bok choy will grow anywhere.
So, guys, I have a big news about my assimilation to California and the Bay Area specifically.
Let's hear it.
I have donated my car to charity. I'm going to be,
Whoa, that's almost a New York move. Look at you.
It's well, the last time I gave away, I was carless. I did live in Hoboken.
What kind of was the impetus for this?
Sick of getting parking tickets, and I don't really use it all that much. And not only is Uber, Lyft kind of just solve a lot of the problems, also there's like an embarrassment of options for like they have these gig cars now that are just all over the city that you can park one way. You can just park them on the street without worrying about paying a meter or anything. So it just got to the point where it's like, why do I really have it? And could I, if I took what I spend in insurance, screw gas, just insurance, like that's literally just Ubering everywhere without thinking about it ever.
Yeah. That's, if I wasn't in the middle of a lease, I would get rid of my car for the insurance reason alone.
Yeah.
I just paid my insurance. It went up $100 when I moved down here.
Well, you get whatever prorated back after you pay it if you cancel it.
Well, yeah, but I need my car. That's
yeah.
Well, yeah.
But 7 years I lived without a car. It was the best. I didn't have to worry about oil changes, gas, insurance, any of that, parking.
Yeah.
But I would think once you have a little one, it becomes a lot more problematic to need to get, I don't know, go from point A to point B. I mean, yes, an Uber could do most of that stuff, but you know.
Yeah, I
gotta go to Target and buy a lot of stuff, and how are you gonna do that?
Well, it's the multi-point trips, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'll just leave that stuff in the trunk, and suddenly you're like, well, I can't do that with Uber or Lyft.
Totally.
But that's where those short-term rental services come in handy.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm gonna and I'll tell you what, as annoying as the 1877 Cars for Kids ads are, I understand why they are efficient, man. I literally made a decision walking to a bar to do this, and by the time that I sat down, I was not only able to submit over the phone on their mobile on just the mobile webpage, but they called me. The local tow truck driver called me and gave me all the instructions that I need to do to just leave stuff in my glove box.
Wow.
And I don't even need to be there.
That's one thing. That's one thing I can always tell when I'm in the Bay Area is you hear that song, 1-800.
I found out yesterday on Twitter when I was asking about this that there is a visceral reaction that people have to that
song. Yes, that jingle it blankets the region.
588-2300 Empire. I drove it out of some people's heads anyway.
One of these days, if I get flooring, I might call them, or I might try to do it myself, make a mess of it.
All right, folks. Thanks for watching today. It's great to have you back, Sarah.
Yay! Good to be back, and I'll be back tomorrow as well.
We will. Goodbye.
Bye.